because I was going to win Iowa by 20 points. The farmers loved me, and I loved the farmers. And it was interesting the way she did it. She brought it down 2 weeks before. She said I was going to only win by 4. That was a big story. But that was good because she...
So Donald Trump not too long ago won a settlement that was paid out to the tune of about $15 million by ABC News. Now the lawsuit all around was about defamation, where they were making claims about his interactions with E. Jean Carroll.
I still get judged for it today.
I'm asking you a very simple question.
And I answered it. You're shaming me for my political choices.
I'm asking you a question about why you endorse someone who's been found liable for rape.
It was not a criminal court. This was a civil court. It was a civil court. And by the way, she joked about the judgment and what she was going to do with all that money, and I find that offensive.
I'm asking you
about the man. But as a rape victim who's been shamed for years now because of her rape, you're trying to shame me again by asking me this political question.
You've repeated that again.
I think it's offensive.
So I guess in one hand, you could say that she was necessarily correct, where he wasn't found liable for rape, but instead he was found liable for sexual abuse. Fine. Now, out of that, the lawsuit of defamation ensued, and ABC paid him out $15 million. Cool. Why they did that, I have no idea. Maybe, just maybe, they didn't want the headache. But now, rather than take your winnings and go home, no, Trump is at the craps table, and he seems to be feeling lucky.
Let it ride.
And so that brings us to today, where he's suing an Iowa newspaper over an election poll. This man issued a lawsuit against the Des Moines Register newspaper. Why? Because they published an election poll days before the election actually happened. Now, all that election poll contained inside of it was information stating that Kamala was going to win Iowa. It's starting to really make sense as to why he wants certain people in his administration this time.
And I found out a lot of things.
Did you find out who's loyal and not loyal?
I tell you what, and you can't guess it. You can't predict it. Some of the people that were least loyal to me are people that I think I would have treated them differently. I think I would have treated different groups differently. I would have wiped the floor with the guys that weren't loyal, which I will now do, which is great. You know, I love getting even with people, but I will. I would have wiped.
You love getting even.
Oh, absolutely. You don't believe in the eye for the eye. You do.
No.
I know you well enough. I think you do. But anyway, but
tell me. I mean, you're going to get even with some people.
Yeah, I know. If given the opportunity, I will get even with some people that were disloyal to me.
So what he's doing now is accusing J.N. Selzer of blatant, brazen election interference. The poll was suggesting that Kamala was going to carry Iowa by about 3 to 4 points. All the while, after the election, we saw what the result turned out to be. So he says, in my opinion, it was fraud, election interference.
I'm going to be bringing one against the people in Iowa, their newspaper, which had a very, very good pollster who got me right all the time. And then just before the election, she said I was going to lose by 3 or 4 points, and it became the biggest story all over the world because I was going to win Iowa by 20 points. The farmers loved me, and I loved the farmers. And it was interesting the way she did it. She brought it down 2 weeks before. She said I was going to only win by 4. That was a big story. But that was good because she brought it down from like 22 points to 4 or whatever the number was, way up. Way up, an easy win. We never even thought to go there. I respect them, I love them, and they understand there's no reason to go there because she brought it from way up, walk away, which it was, and it turned out to be in the election too, by the way. It was a win by many, many points. And then she brought it down very smartly to 4 a couple of weeks before, and everyone said, wow, that's amazing. He's only up by 4 points. Then she brought it down to where I was down by 3 or 4, whatever number she used. And that was the Des Moines Register, and it was their parent. And in my opinion, it was fraud, and it was election interference. You know, she's gotten me right always. She's a very good pollster. She knows what she was doing. And she then quit before. And we'll probably be filing a major lawsuit against them today or tomorrow. We're filing one on 60 Minutes, you know about that, where they took Kamala's answer, which was a crazy answer, a horrible answer, and they took the whole answer out and they replaced it with something else she said later on.
Now, granted, the spokesperson for the Des Moines Register has already gone on record stating as to how they got their information. And since they've released the poll's full demographics, crosstabs, and unweighted data.
No, unlike a lot of the lawsuits Trump has filed in the past, usually unsuccessfully against news outlets, this is not a defamation suit. This is a case in Iowa that relies on a pretty dramatic or aggressive interpretation of the Iowa Consumer Fraud Act. That's a law that prohibits deception when advertising or selling merchandise. So you can imagine Trump's legal team here looking for a law in Iowa they can use to sue Ann Selzer and the Des Moines Register and its parent company, Gannett. And they've landed on this consumer fraud protection law. They're basically arguing that the poll was an example of fraud, that it was, quote, election interfering fiction. Now, as you said, John, Ann Selzer has a sterling reputation, or at least she did until this year. Her pre-election poll was wildly wrong, and she has acknowledged so. She went through the data last month trying to figure out what went wrong, and she came to the conclusion that she did her job the best she could, and the poll was off for a variety of obscure reasons that just chalked up to the reality of the difficulty of polling.
When it comes to disseminating information, I think everyone wants journalists to be able to do their due diligence to make sure that they get information right. What I don't think you want them to do, though, is looking over their shoulder just because they post something that's non-favorable to your candidate. Oh, I'll give them one thing. At least the Des Moines Register didn't take a trip to Mar-a-Lago yet. What are your thoughts, though? Do you think Donald Trump is actually fishing for information? Do you think all of this is just a spree of vengeance, kind of like a Trump hit list? Or do you believe, no, she, like many others, got the information wrong? Whatever your thoughts are, leave them in the comment section. If you guys enjoyed this video, don't forget to drop a like, and I will see you again on the next one. Be easy, y'all.